So you probably think that grad school is harder than undergrad. And it makes sense to think that way because things kind of get harder as you go on in life. At least that's what we learn. Middle school is harder than elementary school, and high school is harder, and then college is harder than high school. So it's natural to assume that a master's and then a PhD is only going to get harder. That assumption is true if you're only looking at it from the academic rigor or from the intellectual difficulty. What I mean by that is that obviously the problems that you're going to have to solve are going to get harder. But does that mean that the whole experience of grad school is harder than undergrad? That's what I'm going to explain to you throughout this video. Now, I'm qualified to talk about this because I did my bachelor's, master's, and I'm currently doing my PhD in electrical engineering. Besides having a ton of research experience, I also have a lot of industry experience. For example, I've done 2 internships at NASA. And when I was at NASA, I talked to a lot of people who also did masters and PhDs, and likewise people who only graduated with a bachelor's degree. And a lot of them seem to agree with what I'm about to tell you in this video. All right, so are you ready? Alright, so the secret is that, in my opinion, grad school is much easier than undergrad. There's 3 reasons behind that. Now, before we talk about why grad school is easier, let's talk about why undergrad is harder. In my opinion, undergrad is really hard, at least it was really hard for me. One, you have a lot of pressure on you. You have to figure out what to do with your life. You have to figure out your purpose. You have to find your passion. And you have all these societal pressures on you. While you're balancing like way too many classes and going to extracurriculars and trying to get involved, trying to just make it out alive, there's that pressure in the back of your head that you're trying to make it your first experience really in the world as an adult. And that only makes things really hard, just that mental pressure and emotional pressure that you exert on yourself. Another reason undergrad is hard is because it's really hard to stand out in undergrad because everyone's taking the same classes, everyone's kind of doing the same thing. To the employer, really, everybody looks the same. And again, you have to stand out by doing some type of internship or some type of research or extracurricular experience. Finally, what makes undergrad really hard, in my opinion, is you have to sit through a lot of classes that you don't care about, and you have to do a lot of things that you're not interested in. You're just kind of forced to, I don't know, do all these assignments and quizzes. And I mean, if you like the classes, it's not too bad. But if there are classes you're not very interested in, it's not cool. Now, to counter these 3 difficulties, once you make it to grad school, let's say in a PhD program like where I currently am, you have a very good sense of what you want to do or where you are in life. Obviously, since you chose to do grad school or, for example, to do a PhD, like in my case, I know an area that I really like. So I'm no longer under this pressure of figuring out what it is that I want to study or what I want to get a job is. I know which area I want to work in, and I just would like to get better at it, and I want to specialize. Point number 2 is that when I said as an undergrad, it's hard to stand out. In grad school, it's much easier to stand out. That's because you get involved in research, and based on what research you're doing, which is hopefully very unique and very interesting, you're able to express yourself and you're able to kind of do things that not many people are doing, especially if your skills are in demand and if the research you're doing is really cool and you make discoveries and you invent new things. That's going to make it much easier for you to find a really good job. And then finally is that you don't have to sit through all these classes that you don't care about. You don't have to take countless assignments. You don't have to have that pain of trying to juggle 500 things that you don't care about at once. Now, don't get me wrong, a PhD is no joke. PhD is a lot of work. And again, in terms of problem solving, it's much harder than an undergrad degree. But again, because I take into account this emotional, mental pressure and whatnot, and because you are doing something hopefully that you like, and again, because hopefully you have an advisor that you get along with. For example, take into account these 2 books. As you can see, this one is much thicker than this one and looks a lot more intimidating. But the topic of this book is far more interesting than this one. This one is a book about reality and about how quantum physics and fields can help you kind of create your reality. This book is called No More Excuses, and it's just like, hey, do your work. So while this one looks a lot more dense, this one is actually a much quicker read because it's far more interesting. This one I really dreaded reading. I didn't even finish it. I don't like someone telling me, hey, don't make excuses. I'll figure that out on my own. I think it is easier. And again, my definition of easy is that you know that if you put in the work, you'll get there. Versus hard, there's way too much uncertainty and there's just all this anxiety that follows the experience. So if you're an undergrad, I urge you, hang in there. Just stick through it, seek help when needed, and just find people to solve problems with, get involved, get help from other people. If you make it through an undergrad, especially as an engineer, you likely have made it through the most difficult stage, in my opinion. Now, I did make a video on whether you should do a PhD or not, if that's something you'd be interested in. I'm gonna put it like somewhere over here. I don't know, still trying to figure out this whole YouTube thing. Finally, I'd like to give a shout out to Marco Iorio, really the guardian angel of this channel. He recommended to me this video topic and I thought it was pretty cool, so there you go. Hope you like it. Honestly, Marco, at this point it feels like I'm making videos for you, so I don't know, keep the suggestions coming. All right, if any of you guys also have some video ideas, please do use the comments below. I would appreciate that. Also, I'm thinking of starting to make more technical videos, like more related to electrical engineering, computer engineering, like the classes, the curriculum, careers, so maybe some computer science videos also. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. That being said, as always, I'll see you in the next video. Peace, love.